Additional aids and services are available to individuals with disabilities. To make such a request, please contact us by email, by clicking the Help tab in the PD portal, or at pdportal@tamu.edu, by phone, including Relay Texas at 1-800-441-7323, or in writing to Train PD, PD Portal Support, 4477 TAMU, College Station, Texas 77843. Both a transcript and accessible document of the content presented in this webinar can be found as resources in the course description. Click on the blue links under Course Resources in the description. When a link is clicked, a new browser window will open.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carol Vandiver, and I work at Northeast Texas Community College, and that's in Mount Pleasant, Texas. I'm excited to be here today to talk about the 360 CommonLit. They've added so many things to the website that I think you're going to really enjoy using as a resource. I tell everybody that CommonLit is a one-stop shop for teachers. It has ready-made materials, teacher guides, so many things. We're going to go into a lot of these in a little while, but I really believe that our students will be able to use these tools to learn to love learning. I want them to see there are so many different ways that they can learn using this website.
Thank you, Carol. So we're going to be talking about CommonLit and how we can use CommonLit in some very specific ways. Do students in your classroom or the teachers in your program, do they participate in small group reading instruction? So that's my first question to you. If you're teaching ESL or ABE or GED, do they participate in small group reading instruction? How are student reading groups organized? If you are doing small group instruction, small groups, right? Small groups with your students, how are they organized? And let me give you some ideas here as far as how I mean organized. Are you organizing them by ability level, by interest, by the product that they're going to produce? Maybe we're thinking about differentiation here. So how are you organizing your reading groups? If you're having reading, how are you organizing your reading groups? Are diagnostic assessment results from TABE or CASAS or Best Plus 2.0 utilized to determine reading ability level? And the reason we're asking this question is that CommonLit allows you to differentiate by reading ability level. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So are you able to see the diagnostic assessment results of your students? And if so, are you using that to group your students? That's where we're really going with this. Keep these questions kind of in your mind, because when we get into the application part of this, Carol's going to talk more about this, okay? And if you are teaching a virtual class, you can do all of these things in a Zoom room. You just may have to set up your breakout rooms a little bit differently, but you could also do direct instruction. You could have students read, all those things. We have some objectives today. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to understand the new CommonLit 360 curriculum. That's what Carol's going to talk about. And then I'm going to start us out by talking about the basic library features and filters. And then we're going to recognize the new accessibility tools that support struggling readers. And since Carol and I both have a background in special education, this really rocked our world. We really got excited about this part. There's a lot of digital tools that we feature on Tech and Tell, as you know, but CommonLit goes a long way with those supports. And then finally, we're going to learn why CommonLit 360, as well as the library, right, with the passages, is an excellent tool for whole group, direct explicit reading instruction, differentiated student groups, and one-on-one tutoring. We do have one focus statement.
We're going to discuss how CommonLit is used to support the whole group and direct explicit instruction, differentiated student groups, and one-on-one tutoring. You will have tools that you can come back to that are ready-made for you to use.
We're not going to talk about setting up the virtual classes or assigning reading passages to a whole class or individual students. When you see the light bulb, that's an aha moment. That's something that we really want to draw your attention to. So you'll see the light bulb come up several times throughout the PowerPoint. So our first question is, what are comprehension strategies? The great thing about CommonLit is you've got reading passages that will address these strategies. We're trying to help our students make connections. But another example of a comprehension strategy is drawing conclusions, drawing inferences, making predictions, asking and answering questions out loud. But how do these strategies help adults improve their reading skills? And I do have an official evidence-based definition for you. And it comes from two researchers, 2017, Cavendish and Hondit say, comprehension strategies are routines and procedures that readers use to help them make sense of the text. It helps them process the information, and I love that. They need help processing and understanding so that they can read. Don't you think students can use comprehension strategies when they leave the classroom? College, life decisions. How about the workplace? If I'm a student and I learn to draw conclusions, make inferences, ask questions, I can use this at work. Here are some more examples like we talked about as strategies: summarizing, making inferences, predicting, paraphrasing, context clues, and finding the main idea. And if I have a work assignment from a boss and I have a huge report that I have to read, knowing how to summarize something is going to be critically important to me, especially if I've only got about 20 minutes before that meeting starts. Comprehension strategies follow our students. So to wrap this up, I do also want to share this with you. When we explicitly teach our students how to use these strategies, it's called comprehension strategy instruction, something that is very well known in the special education field. And so we teach the students how to use the strategy. You have a perfect resource with CommonLit to use for CSI. So we've got through our warm-up. We know what comprehension strategies are. And the very first step that you will do is create a free teacher account. All right. We're not going to take time for you to create your account now, but I do want to walk you through a few things when we take a tour. Let's start with this. CommonLit is free, but there is something you need to have. You need to use your school email address. A Gmail address will not work to access CommonLit. CommonLit is a curriculum that is used by school districts all over the country. Because it's attached to official grading in K through 12 for some school districts, they don't want students to be able to access grades or change scores and all that good stuff. So that's why you need to have a school email address. When you sign up, it will ask you to try to find your school or put your school down, and then you will get through and you can create an account. The articles on CommonLit are very suited for our adult learners. The website has over 2,000 reading passages. I'm going to say that again, 2,000. So when we have that much material, we need to know how to work the website, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. You have 8 categories. You've got texts, themes, something called target lessons. And that's why there's a light bulb there, because we're actually going to look at one. Book pairings, 360 curriculum. It's also going to give you the 360 curriculum. The text sets is another great category. There are passages in Spanish. All of the support materials are in Spanish. How cool is that? And then you have English content. And then here's the other cool thing. The entire website, you can go from English to Spanish translation. Some materials are in Spanish, but the whole website can flip to Spanish if you need to. And I'll show you how to do that. And then you have answer keys for the reading passages, related media. So if you want to start your lesson showing a YouTube video or a video to set the stage, you have that realia that you can use in the form of a video, sometimes more than one. Now, let's say that your classroom doesn't have a lot of computers, so that your students can be working on the computers with you in class. You can download the passages as PDFs for printing and sharing. One thing to remember here before I forget is that CommonLit is website based. So there is no app. So the students can go to the website on their phone, but there's no app that you download from the Apple Store or the Android Store or Google Play or things like that. You've got content types, which is your text sets, your themes, your book pairings, your units, and your target lessons. You can filter by grades 3 through 12th grade. They go as low as 3rd grade and go up to 12th grade. Now, Lexile level is another way for reading difficulty, and the higher the Lexile, the more difficult the passage. Genres, these are just to name a few. You've got informational text, drama, news, nonfiction, poems. Themes, America, community, equality. Literary devices, this is awesome. Cause and effect, compare and contrast, figurative language. The Texas AEL content standards all ask that our students know how to identify these. So you're going to be able to filter by these different things. The standards right now are aligned to the National Common Core standards, but they can be easily adapted to our Texas standards. Now, languages, you can search for passages in English or Spanish. Now, you can browse the library. So you choose your filters, and I'm going to show you all this in a minute. You can choose your filters, and then you can browse by book, genre, grade level, literary device, text set, theme, and Spanish text. I want to show you a really good feature that I wish that I had known about early on. You have the ability to save any reading passage as a favorite. How many of you have ever gone to a website, found something, and then you could never find it again? This gives you an opportunity to save it as a favorite and create a library of things that you go to all the time. So this is the main website, and I'm going to log in, but I wanted to show you, if you go up to the top, this is where you sign up. You click on that, and it's going to ask you if you're an educator. You want to click there because you're an educator, and then it's going to ask you for all the information that, you know, the website always does. And the first thing I want to show you is browse content, and I'm going to click on that. Go to the library, and I want to show you some tabs up here at the top. Here's the tab for 360 curriculum that Carol's going to talk about, and then there's that favorites tab. So if I click on my favorites, I can see my favorites in here. But let's go back to the browse the library. And this is the library. So let me scroll down. And this is everything, because I have no filters on right now. I haven't done any filters, so it's going to show me everything. But something caught my eye up here, making artificial limbs. So that looks interesting to me. It's fourth grade reading ability, informational text. The Lexile is a little high, but I'm going to save it to my favorite. So does everybody see that heart right there? And now if I go to my favorites, it is now in my favorites. Let me see if I can find it. There it is, making artificial limbs. Okay, so let's go back to browse content and let's choose some filters. Let's search for text. I'm going to choose that one, okay? Okay, what grade level would you like to search for?
Let's just do 5th.
5th, that's a good one. Would you like to look at genres? Because this is where like informational text comes up.
Fantasy.
We found 5th grade fantasy. We've got The Orb by Rebecca Birch. That's a short story. Clarity, Matthias and the Dragon. Oh, this one looks good. If we click on this, let me show you all the things in here. So look at this. You've got all of these different features. Here's your article. And then you've got paired text that would go with it. So you could click on that to see what else you could use. You've got related media. Here's your answer key. And then here's how you download it and save it if you want to. And then you've got your different activities. You've got guided questions, assessment questions, discussion questions. I want to show you one other thing real quick. One of the things that's brand new that I didn't know existed until recently was target lessons. And so for those of you directly teaching reading, your target lessons, you cannot save to your favorites because they work differently. So let me show you. How many of you know who Simone Biles is? She's a
Yes.
world-renowned Olympic gymnast. This is an actual lesson that you do together with them, and you walk them through it together. And so it will show you that you've got a warm-up, a video, you review the target skill, you read and answer questions, and then there's an assessment. So you could do this over Zoom. You could do this face-to-face on a big overhead screen, and it walks you through all the different things. So the first thing that you see is there's a question for them to answer. The next thing that you do is they watch a video, and the video is right there. Then there's a question that they need to answer. They can write it right there if they're working on their phone, or you can do it in class and write them down on a piece of paper. This is a lesson plan that goes with the target lesson. Look at this. Is this not the coolest thing you've ever seen? It's all here for you.
I'm excited to talk about CommonLit 360, the new curriculum. This is a portion of CommonLit that has recently been added. There is a full year comprehensive ELA curriculum for grades 6 through 12. There is a scope and sequence, target lessons that Anne-Marie just shared with you, easy to use teacher guides, skill focused to unlock deeper meaning. It really goes into detail on the teacher guides, the skill that you're using and how to present that to the students. There is classroom ready materials. Some of the lessons are labeled essential lessons that really provide the purpose for reading and the skill to do before, during, and after reading. There are assessment questions. This is the 360 curriculum homepage. As you notice, there are 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, all the way to 12th grade. These are units for each grade level. And down below here is the scope and sequence. I'm not going to go into all that, but there is a scope and sequence that tells you how to use this material throughout the year. I want to open up Unit 1. It is a multi-genre unit, and they have 5 to 7 weeks worth of material. Unit is Characters Who Change and Grow. This is a 6th grade. What I love about the CommonLit units is, first of all, they have a unit guide, which looks like this. It has the grade level, the essential questions that we talked about. How are people changed through their relationships and experiences? It talks about the different texts that you will be able to pick from, focus skills, reading, writing, language, speaking and listening lessons. Then there is a unit overview for the teacher. And over here, what's included for reading lessons, supplemental texts, independent reading and book club resources. Amazing things here that you can look at. And it just goes on for 16 pages. Then they also have lessons and materials that are available. Some of these are essential and some of these are just additional resources that you can use. This one has writing baseline assessment as the first activity. And you click on that and it tells you exactly what you're going to do, how to facilitate, and it has the materials ready for you to use those. There is an essential unit right here. It's 25 minutes. And start the unit by engaging students with debatable questions and an introduction to the unit's texts and topics. Use this edible slide deck and paired handout to spark curiosity and provide students with an overview of what they will be learning.
The slide decks that are available with the target lessons and also this curriculum, it's Google Slides, everybody.
Yes.
So you can download them and save them as your own. So one, you could share them with the teachers, they could share them. So it's Google Slides made available for teachers. And once you download them, you could add more if you wanted.
I was going to click on this real quickly to show you the slide deck, and it is a Google Slide. And so many people are using the Google Slides now, they will really be happy about this. But here you go. There's a PowerPoint ready for you to discuss and introduce this unit with your students. So there's some things you don't have to do in your planning because it's already there. There are more things we could look at: vocabulary lessons, writing lessons. Those are in the lesson and materials. Then we have another category, why teach this lesson? And it has the same type of things about this unit, the skills that are covered, why it's important for you to teach this. And the last section is supporting resources and guidance. This has supplemental texts in Spanish, independent reading and book clubs. What I'm getting at this is when I'm teaching, and I do have differentiated groups, I need materials for each of those groups. This has done all of those things for me. It has the beginning, the introduction, it has the reading, and then the conclusion. So everything that I've had to go out and do all this time has already been done for me. You could do this through 12th grade. Each single one of the units has more of the same. The 8th grade has multi-genres, novels. I love to teach by novels at times, but I like this 360 curriculum because there is novels that you will teach as well as multiple other genres. So I like the variation that they've given us.
All right, so the next thing we want to move into, and this is important to know for your students who are working online with the articles or in class, and look at all of the tools and supports that are available for our students, but especially important for maximum inclusion for students that have learning disabilities and are English language learners. We have a lot of students in Texas that are in ESL classes and they really want to learn English. And so you've got all of these features. First of all, there's a read aloud feature, or what we say in the special education world is text to speech. All right, that's reading aloud. Then you can translate to, I think there's over 30 different languages that can be translated to. You have the option to annotate right on the screen. You could do that on the big screen in a classroom. You can read aloud in the speed control, normal, slower. You can highlight text and you can enlarge text.
There are over 30 different languages that are available for translation of the texts. The guiding reading mode supports students' reading comprehension. When you enable the guided reading mode, students are prompted to stop during reading to answer basic multiple choice comprehension questions. They read just so far and then the words get fuzzy. You can't see the bottom or any more of the reading until they do answer the multiple choice question correctly. And you can, as a teacher, decide whether to put the guided reading mode on. Some students need to stop for checking for understanding, and then you'll have some students who can read through to the end and then complete the questions. So it's just you as a teacher can decide what you want to do with the guided reading mode.
When you assign an article to a student, you can turn the reading mode on for some, like Carol said, and for others, you can turn it off. And so when you're assigning articles, you can assign them to the whole class, or you can assign articles to different students. How cool is that?
Paired reading, this is one of my favorite features. It's pairing complementary resources at different grade levels that assists with differentiation by building background knowledge and exposure to many genres of literature: poems, informational texts, fiction, nonfiction, short stories, memoirs, related media. What I like about all these is everybody wants to make a hook at the beginning of their lesson. And so having resources that I can use as an introduction to gain the excitement for the lesson that we're going to do. That's what I had to do when I was going out looking for resources. What can I use for a video? What can I use as a poem to start this unit? They have all these things for us, and it is phenomenal. And they are different grade levels within the pairs. We are going to tour what these things look like when we're looking up what the teacher sees and what the student sees. I love that they give us an opportunity. Right up here, it says student preview. What I'm seeing and what we're seeing right now is the teacher view. This gives me all the different options that I can use with this particular reading. We have 8th grade, the sit-in movement, 7th grade, informational texts, nonfiction, there's a biography. So all these things you can use along with or to introduce this unit. On the related media, this is really wonderful. It's short videos that you can use to introduce what we were trying to talk about, because our students need this visual sometimes to get them where they need to be to understand what we're trying to talk about. There are answer keys for all of the comprehension questions that the students complete. There's an answer key. There's also a parent guide. This is especially good for schools who are using this as their standalone curriculum, or for anyone that students who need their parents' help that keeps them in the loop. I'm going to go back to the text. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Changing America. This is just a little blurb about him before you get started on the reading. When your students start reading, you can put the guided reading questions on. You can do that for each of the students that need that. Some of them won't, as we said before, but there is a teacher overview over here. There are guided questions. Assessment questions would be what you would ask at the end of the reading. And then I really like this discussion questions. Really good for a teacher to use to see if the students have comprehended what they've read and if they've learned the skill that you've asked them. And now that I'm through with the teacher page, I'm going to go to the student page. Now you can see what your student will see when they begin this assignment. They will be able to read the title and look at the picture, and you can change the font. Also, the student has to read this much of the article, and then there is a stop right here. Question 1. When they get here, they come over and they do this, and it brings up the question that they're supposed to answer correctly. before they can go on. And I know you're going to ask, what about the answers? A teacher can choose to, if they've missed one time, put the correct answer in, or they can choose to make them complete several times before they get the correct answer. These articles can also be translated. Also, the annotation. You can highlight, write something here. I can change the color. I will say CommonLit has done a really super job on finding evidence in the text. That's where the curriculum has gone for the last few years, and it's really pushed that way in the last 5 or 6 years. So this is wonderful curriculum using those new strategies.
How are you going to apply
Yeah.
these resources in your classroom, whether you're online, doing it as a whole group, giving it as homework? I think using these articles and assigning these articles are great if you've got a student that's really high level for stamina. But what about the students, your reading ability is down more around 3rd or 4th grade? Even when I was teaching adult basic education, the CASAS would tell me one thing, but when I started working with the students, I realized that they were 2 or 3 grade levels lower than what that silent reading test actually showed me.
CommonLit and comprehension strategy instruction is one of the big parts of this is whole group instruction, differentiated student groups, and one-on-one tutoring. Whole group instruction, our comprehension strategy is to identify the main idea. When I go in and decide for a whole group, I try to go with a lower level text, maybe just 1 grade level lower, to make sure that my class is on a grade level that they could be successful in as a group. So before I would start reading, the teacher would model how to activate prior knowledge by looking at the title, the pictures, descriptions, and passage, and watch any of related media that they see in the video. This is a time for us to teach students to look at the titles and the pictures as clues for the main idea or for whatever question is being asked, and just modeling all these things. And hopefully they will use these strategies when they're doing it on their own. During the reading, the teacher models how to identify the main idea while reading the passage aloud to students and think aloud. So the teacher's just going to model being the student and what they need to ask themselves and what they need to find in the passage. And after the reading, students will work in small groups to complete assessment questions. One of the most important things I think we can do is use our assessment data to ability group our students. We use the TABE here at NTCC. And so I take the students' data and I look at their skill score, and I go on through and find out which skills that they're really needing help in and make ability groups. Then I can make small group ability groups and choose a grade level passage that matches their ability. It's in the same interest, it's in the same topic as the other students. It's just a grade level that is going to be comfortable for them. I would identify the main idea, and then the same strategies as before. Activate prior knowledge, looking at the pictures, and this time they will predict what they think might be the main idea. And then teach them, ask yourself what the author wants you to know about this text. And then the teacher will model, drawing conclusions to try to find the main idea. And then after reading, ask, was your prediction of the main idea correct? And the class will orally analyze and complete the discussion questions. One-on-one tutoring, before reading, watch the related media and review the definition of main idea. If I'm doing one-on-one tutoring, it's usually with a student who has some learning problems that maybe they're just not progressing as much as I like them to, or it's a student that maybe has ADHD so badly they can't always pay attention. And I had one student who I used this on, and I knew he liked science. I knew he liked spiders and things. That's what we worked on together. And he was so excited. He said, hey, I learned new things about spiders. So I like it that I can, if you know your students, if it's far enough along, you know your students, you can pair them with things that you know that they're interested in. Before reading, model how to look at the title, pictures, description. During reading, preview the passage and vocabulary, and during the reading, the teacher models how to draw conclusions. So with the one-on-one tutoring, there was a lot more scaffolding with that student. He needed that. And so I could take a little more time since it was just one-on-one. Using CommonLit, some things that I learned as a teacher: do not get overwhelmed by the amount of material. There's so much material. And I told somebody that I kind of got overwhelmed with joy because I was overwhelmed and thought, I just need to stop this for a minute. I'm kind of overstimulated. But then I went back and I started using the filters and I thought, oh, I love this. So use CommonLit to build reading stamina. Like I said, high interest nonfiction texts. Use the material to help students become excited. I want my students to love to read as much as I do. I want them to be as excited about learning as I am. So I hope that I can use this in that way. The students can reread a text several times and focus on different skills. I really liked that. I can model fluency often, reading aloud to students. They need to hear that good reading comprehension fluency. They need to see that model and they need to hear that fluency. And also the data from the progress tracking is immeasurable. You can do all kinds of things with it. So thank you very much.
Do you understand the new CommonLit 360 curriculum? Do you understand a little bit more about the library filters and the curriculum? Recognize the new accessibility tools that support struggling readers. Learn why CommonLit 360 is an excellent tool for all different types of reading instruction.
We hope you enjoyed this pre-recorded webinar. After you have passed the final test with a score of 80% or greater and have received your certificate of completion, please take a few moments to complete the course evaluation. Participant feedback helps Train PD at TCall continue to provide high-quality professional development. To leave a course feedback, please go to the completed portion of your transcript. To do this, hover over the My Learning tab and select View Your Transcript. Click on the drop-down arrow next to the word Active and select Completed. Then, click Evaluate in the drop-down menu next to the course you just completed. Please note that your feedback is greatly appreciated.